Looks like a super nice day outside today. Oh, look at that. Yeah. What I've been doing at night is propping. This is my divider that I put on the side windows when I'm not in the van. I've been putting it across here because this little guy, morning buddy, this little guy likes to crawl in the front sleep. It's still early. This little guy likes to crawl into the front seat at night and go to sleep. So the last thing I need is to have somebody see little homeboy sleeping in the front seat. Oh. Oh. Good morning, Mr. Wigglebum. Mr. Wigglebum, why are you so excited today? If you're thinking about starting van life and you have a dog or an animal of any kind that you plan on living with on the road, or even if you're just part-timing out for a little while, I want to talk to you guys about a few things and some of my experiences that I've had since moving into my van, going on just about 2 years now. I've had the pleasure of having an older dog in the van, and also right now having the pure pleasure of having a puppy in the van. So I know what it's like having like an older dog and also having a cute little puppy training in the van. So I've got this from both sides of the spectrum, but there's some parts of this video that might not be very helpful to you because my scenario is different than the average person that's going to be watching this video, because most of you are thinking, I've got a day job, what am I going to do? See, because I YouTube for a living, and I never had my day job while I lived in my van. I quit that before I started van life. So the only experiences I have with working and being away from the van for longer periods of time is I DJ'd weddings in the summer. My first summer in the van, I DJ'd a lot of weddings, which kept me away from my van pretty much all day long. And I had like 4 or 5 hour DJ gigs at bars and stuff like that. But those were always from like starting at 9 o'clock at night. So the sun's already gone down. And it was pretty good. And in those scenarios, I parked my van close to the door, close to the bouncers. That way they could keep an eye on the van, make sure nobody did anything to it. And I could sneak out every couple of hours or even every hour and take the dog for a pee. So he's seen me more often in those scenarios, which was really, really cool. But for me in the wedding situation, because I DJ'd most of my weddings at one venue, they gave me access to a power plug. I bought myself an air conditioner. Those videos are also back on my channel. I bought a home air conditioner, popped it in the back of my van, backed my van up to the trees, plugged it in. AC ran in my van the whole time I was at the wedding. It was colder in my van than it was inside of the wedding, like the wedding venue. But you have to be creative and you have to think about these things. So if you are working a full-time job and you do have a place to park your van at that place of employment that's close to a power plug, buying an air conditioning unit is an option. And you know, I know not everybody's going to be in that scenario, but doing what I did, it freaking worked. I could go in there and DJ and have no fears that the dog is super cool outside. I obviously came back every hour, every 2 hours, popped outside and checked on him and make sure everything was okay, obviously, because you got to use that thing between your ears called common sense. And if you don't have that stuff called common sense, your animal is doomed. But yeah, you have to be a little bit more creative. If you do work a 9-to-5 job in a place that you are away from your van, you're gonna have to find other ways to have someone care for your dog, a friend, a family member, a coworker that's not working, or pay for puppy daycare. And sometimes when you go to the puppy daycare facilities that are in buildings, they're a little bit expensive, so you might want to find somebody on Craigslist. And I know there's apps out there called Rover. You might be able to find someone that gives you a fat deal if they're with them 5 days a week. They might cut the price down, 30% or something like that if they have the dog on a regular basis. But I think at that point, puppy daycare is your option. Don't leave your dog in the van the whole time you're at work, every day, all day, unless that temperature is perfect outside. You know what I mean? It's okay if the van's a little bit on the chillier side because the dog will keep himself warm. but don't do it on a freezing cold winter day, or a day where you know that van's going to be a little muggy inside. It doesn't take long to turn your van into an oven. See, I think this stuff here is just all common knowledge. If you're hearing this for the first time, don't live in a van with a dog, because you're going to kill it. Because I think that the whole don't leave, the hot dogs are good, just not in cars. You know what I'm saying? Or however that saying goes. I want a hot dog. So yeah, you might want to think about other ways to have someone take care of your dog. That's a hard thing, because I don't know what it's like to have a job and have a dog and then have that worry about what am I going to do with my dog or my cat. I do know this from experience. I've had a few of my people on my channel that I've met in person that moved into their bus with a dog and was unsure what they were going to do with their dog while they're at work, and it turns out that their dog actually gave her a space to put the dog, her dog, did I say her dog? Her work gave her a place to put the dog while she's on shift. So the dog kind of has its own little spot around the business, and it can run around, do its thing, and she never expected that. So I think if you're open and you're honest with your place of employment, depending on where you work, you never know what kind of scenarios can open up for you. You just got to throw it out there. Don't hide that you're living in a van. And I would say don't even hold that back from your employer, because if you go to work, you're cleaned up, you're on time, and you get your job done, it shouldn't matter where you go home and call home, as long as you kind of smell good, right? So I say in that scenario, be honest with your employer. Say, hey, look, I'm moving into my van with my dog, and we're going to start traveling more on the weekends, and I'm just wondering, if I come here to work, is there any chance I could park in that spot and get access to a power plug? I don't mind maybe paying an extra $5 a day for power while we do that. Are you okay with that? Because you never know. There's too many beautiful, like, compassionate people in this world that'll understand, you know what I mean? Or they don't understand. Maybe that's the time to just find a job that will better fit your new lifestyle. I don't know, but because you got to remember, when you're moving into this with a dog, you have to think about that dog's, health and well-being. You know what I mean? You can't be selfish in these situations. Your animal is so freaking important. So on that note of those little things, I couldn't do van life without a dog. I couldn't. I love the companionship, the friendship, the funny times. Every poop in the van, I have a puppy, because things happen, right? But I really enjoy having an animal, and I think it really adds a great part to van life, especially if you're doing this lifestyle alone. And I think this whole thing wouldn't be the same without him. And I know when I had my last dog that just passed away, that month or so afterwards was a little quiet, and I have an English Bulldog, and they're never quiet. So it really changed a lot of the feeling about this van life for me, because I never knew van life without a dog. I knew what this lifestyle was like with one. So I didn't go without a dog very long before CRUZ came into my world, and all of a sudden we're back to having a freaking blast and learning a whole lot of new things about puppy training a dog in the van, which is so easy. Remember, your home and your front yard is literally, my phone is sitting on my home right now, and I'm standing in my front yard, and it's like this everywhere we go. So it's so easy to toss your dog out, let him go pee, bring him back in. No big deal. You might want to park in areas at that point where you're not like opening the house. There's people in houses right there going, whoa, somebody's in that van. So you might want to park in places like this here where you can't open the door and it's just the side of a business. But oh my goodness. If your dog is a barker, that could be a little bit of a problem as well too, because if you're not in the van and all of a sudden this dog's barking from inside of the van, it's causing a problem for people that are walking by, because they're going to be like, red alert, there's a dog inside the van and nobody's in the front seat, let's smash the window, because the last thing you want is to have something like that happen. So if you do have a dog that's a little bit yappy, it could also like ruin some sleeps for you, because if some people go for a nice walk, a nice late night walk past your van, your dog hears them, all of a sudden it starts yapping. You could get a lot of residential complaints to the police department, and you might get a lot of knocks on the van saying, hey, we had a complaint that somebody's in this vehicle, or there's an animal in this vehicle. So you might want to keep that in mind too. If you have a yappy dog, that could cause could cause some issues down the line as well too. I've got the luxury of having a dog that's super freaking quiet. We probably snore our brains out in the van. We've never had a problem, but that's something to keep in mind too. Also, on the topic of winter, I never really have a worry about winter. Here in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, we maybe get down to -5 and that's about it. And I found even on the first winter with the van with my other bulldog, is that on a winter day, you know, he's got the option to sleep in bed with me underneath my covers. But on a winter day, I find that he crawls out of the covers. He would go sleep on the floor somewhere. So even at -5 degrees Celsius, he never really cared anyway. So I think dogs are a little bit more tolerant to some cooler temperatures. Obviously, if you're living in a place that's like -40, you might want to like think about the heating inside the van. And I think in the winter times in that scenario, you're in the same situation as you would be where you're dealing with a dog in the hot summer. You got to think about, you can't leave your dog in a freezing cold van. I can't help you in those scenarios, but you know, I would say at that point, apply the same rules as summertime. Puppy daycare. Things to keep in mind as well too, that dogs do take up space in the van and they will make a whole lot of mess in the van, because if you think you have a hair problem from your dog in your apartment or house, wait till you move into something that's 70 square feet like me. It's like, as soon as the shedding comes, it's like, poof, your whole freaking van is a hairball. No kidding, you open up your van door and you can see the hair go, and I sweep and clean my van up like multiple times in a day, and that's the truth. But I think when it comes to all of this, that's the people's prime concern. Prime concern is, what am I going to do with my dog when I'm at work? What do you do with your dog on a hot day? You just go outside. You know what I mean? I don't sit in my van on hot days. I am outside. Me and him are at the park. If we're having a lazy day, we'll go find the shade underneath a big fat tree at a park somewhere and just lounge around. But for me, we're always by a creek, water, ocean, something. So if the dog gets hot, boom, huck him in the creek or huck him in the lake or her in the lake. Puppy training, super simple, super easy, no different. So yeah, guys, honestly, caring for a dog in your van is just like caring for your dog in your apartment or home right now. There's no difference, none, zero. Get a puppy sitter. Find a friend that'll watch your dog. Maybe find a stranger that's walking by that pets your dog one day. Maybe a senior citizen that's always like lights up every time he or she sees your dog. They might be willing to take it too. Here's a cool story without making this video too long. When I first started living in the van, I met this older gentleman at Tim Hortons in Vancouver, and I still pop in there once in a while. He still sits there in the morning and has his coffee, but he used to sit outside. He used to have this Springer Spaniel. He used to buy the Spaniel one Timbit, which is like a little round donut, and he'd sit outside and have his coffee, and the dog was blind. And the story behind the dog is that he met this Chinese couple that owned the dog, and the Chinese couple, they worked a lot. So, and he used to see this dog on the road, and they used to pet the dog and stuff like that. And then the Chinese people are like, will you take him and walk him, kind of thing? He's like, well, I guess I could. So what had happened was, over like a 10-year span, they ended up how do you word this? Like, they were both owners of the dog. For 10 years, he walked the dog every single day while they were at work. They went to work, he took the dog all day. He loved it because he got companionship out of it. He got to spend some time with the dog. The dog became a part of his life and his family, but yet the dog always went back to its actual home for the rest of the time. And that dog's now passed away. I bumped into him a little while ago, and his little spaniel passed away, broke his freaking heart. And this is an older retired gentleman. But those scenarios happen, so you never know. You might be able to find a really nice couple that work around, or that live around the area where you have your day job, that would be adored to, like, is that the word? That would love to have your dog in their day to keep them company while you're at work. So reach out to people. Don't be scared to be like, hey, when you see someone walking by petting your dog, hey, any chance you might be interested in having this little thing as a companion Monday to Friday from 9 to whatever? And you never know, that person might be like, oh, really? Right? So just reach out. Thanks for watching today's video, you guys. I don't know if this really helped, because this is a hard video to make, because I think all of this stuff is just common sense. But I've had some people ask for the video, so here it is. I probably missed a lot in this video because I don't write these things down. I don't write down everything I should say. I just kind of hit the camera on record and spit it out. So keeping it raw, keeping it real, that's what we do here on Van City Van Life. Everyday van life, baby. Thanks for watching. See ya.